I started my career 41 years ago, and what a wonderful thing it was to take care of people in the field. You know, on their worst days, they call you. What a privilege that is for you to hop aboard a piece of fire apparatus or medical apparatus and be welcomed into individuals' homes and cars and wherever else you're at, their businesses, because you're the last line of defense for them. And what a privilege that is to be in that, that occupation. And more recently for me as the fire chief, it's been such a privilege to support those people that do that day in and day out. Back when I started with Parker Fire District, my dad was a firefighter, retired as an engineer, but you don't get a skill set by osmosis because you live in the same home as a parent. I would say 22-year-old Bob Baker was fairly naive, but also excited about opportunities. Think of myself as kind of a wide-eyed, very excited, adventurous sort of young man that started off in the fire service with really no experience in emergency services. As I look back, that many years of experience, it changes you, and I think in a real positive way. A little bit it tires you out, but really forces you to look at the things that are really important and not get so wrapped around the axle about the things that aren't. And it gives you a very different perspective, especially when you're responsible for people. So you're responsible as a company officer, you're responsible for maybe 3 other individuals, or if you've got a medic unit at your station, maybe it's 5. Move up to being a battalion chief. Now you've got a battalion load of people, a district chief. You've got 150, 200 people. And then you get to be the fire chief, and it can be daunting to think that there are 800 people that are really counting on you to make sure they go home, that they're taken care of, they have a job, and then that translates to 560,000 people in a community that know you as the fire chief. When folks see you in a South Metro Fire gear as a firefighter, it's not much different when they see you as a fire chief, because you're wearing the same gear, and other than you're older, for me, quite a bit older, and that's what they think you do. Until you really become the fire chief, and then a lot of people know that's what your job is. As I became a battalion chief and I got closer to the decision-making process and realized that there were what I felt like were some really significant needs. Wellness is one of them. Recognizing that you can make a difference and somebody has to raise their hand to say, I'm willing to do that and leave what is, everybody gets in the fire service to be online. You can be in a position where you can make a change that is significant enough that it impacts more people. I wanted to, in my own way, positively impact more people than I could as a company officer. I wanted to do that, wanted to expand that as a battalion chief, and then when I got to be an assistant chief, and then the next step up is fire chief, you just recognize that you have a heart for that and the skill set to be able to do the job, and you put the two together, and then all that's left is, are you willing to raise your hand? There's a group of people that have a skill set to be the fire chief, and even recognize they can make a difference. But man, leaving the line is, not an easy thing to do. And you have to be, that pull to make a difference at that level in the organization as a fire chief has to be strong enough to overcome the pull to enjoy your job in a different way. Not that I don't enjoy being a fire chief, but it's very different. Higher up you get in an organization, the less you have time or should be thinking about yourself, and the more you should be thinking about everyone else that you're responsible for. Standing up for what's right is what I'm probably the most proud of. And those things happen behind, people don't know. They don't know when you do that. Being a fire chief, there's so many different roles you play. In a special district, it looks a lot more like a CEO than a lot of fire chiefs in a municipal fire department. So you're responsible, even though you're not the subject matter expert. You're still responsible for and have to have a strong understanding of finance and HR and employment practices and IT and fleet maintenance and the fire marshal's office and code inspections and code enforcement and pre-plans and all of the things that wrap into a special district. So I'd say, you're a CEO, you're the face of the fire department, oftentimes in the community. You're a figurehead. You're a cheerleader. You should be the strongest advocate. Or oftentimes you're put in a role, and I've said before, I probably have somewhat of a paternalistic leadership style. So a lot of times you feel like when younger in my career, I felt like I was the brother, and then you get to feel like you're the dad, and now you get to feel like you're the grandpa. You're all of those things, all wrapped up into not a neat little package. Sometimes you're shifting on the fly from one to the other. I've told people that the job looks an awful lot like a pastor or a chaplain, and more times than I wished it did. So you can go from addressing a community group to a week later being at a board meeting and being the interface with the board of directors, to a couple of months later delivering a eulogy, to a week later being in the hospital and praying for someone in the emergency room with their family. And it's that varied, and that's exciting and can be, I won't say it's fun, but it's a huge responsibility, and somebody has to do it. And I've always felt grateful to be in a position where, people count on me for each one of those roles. South Metro is all it is the people that make up the organization, right? I mean, other than that, it's 35 or so brick and mortar buildings and a bunch of apparatus, but none of that stuff matters without without really exceptional men and women. And I think we've got the best in the world. I'm exceptionally proud of our folks, our staff, folks and staff. I think in so many ways they're just the best and the brightest, and they have a wonderful heart to take care of our firefighters. They recognize that our firefighters are the front line. They make the difference. The call is what makes a difference. And of course, I came up through the line, so my affection for our men and women on line is extremely deep. I think they literally put their lives on the line every single day they come into work. Couldn't be more evidenced than it was during the pandemic, which I'd rather not talk about at length because it's in the rearview mirror, and hopefully we're not challenged with that anytime soon. But the way that they take care of people in our community, regardless of what's going on in their own personal lives, is pretty amazing. And then the way that our folks take care of one another, I think is also something that's you just look at in awe oftentimes. Just really couldn't be prouder of them. I feel like I'm passing the baton with integrity and turning a healthy organization over to Chief Curtis. Well, I mean, it's a little trite, but I'm certain I left it better than I found it, in so many different ways. There are a couple of things that I wished I had accomplished that I wasn't able to in my tenure as the fire chief, which would be like 10 and a half years. I'm going to be confident, reassured as I get older, and that we're in a community that's served by South Metro Fire Rescue, and it's the best service that you can have. And so I'm grateful for being a part of it, and I'm grateful to be real quickly hopefully never taking advantage of it. But it will be comforting to know if we have to dial 911 at the Baker family house, no longer Chief Baker, that one of you will show up and take good care of us.